Okay, first of all, I just want to say thank you for watching my other review videos. It's like literally been my dream to have an opinion my whole life. I just wanted to have an opinion my whole life. So it actually really means a lot to me that a lot of you guys liked my review of Maxine. And I'm just going to get right into my review of Longlegs because I have some things to say. The premise of Longlegs, if you're a little bit too spooked to like watch the movie, also this is spoilers by the way. The premise of Longlegs is that we exist in this movie, in this universe where the devil is a real guy, Satan is a real guy, he has real power. So there's that to start with. I'm going to get into what I think about that, but that's to start. And basically there's this guy called Longlegs who's played by Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is a total freak in this movie. It's a very like Silence of the Lambs basement character, but Nicolas Cage has this crazy prosthetic makeup on and you don't get it revealed to you until you actually watch the movie, which I loved. They didn't put any of the actual face reveal of Nick Cage until you watch the movie, which was a fantastic choice. But this guy Longlegs creates these dolls, and then he puts the devil's soul kind of into these dolls, and then these dolls get put into houses with these families, and it makes the families, you know, they just start going crazy on each other. There's a lot of murders because of this phenomenon with Longlegs and the devil. So our main character is an FBI agent who's trying to solve these murders, and she and her mother actually had an experience with Longlegs, and he was trying to give her a doll that would make her family go crazy as well. Her mom, the FBI girl's mom, struck a deal with the Longlegs to let her live if the mom helped Longlegs get these dolls into people's houses. So this mom dresses up as a nun, putting these demonic dolls in people's houses so that everyone just goes crazy on each other, and it's basically an unsolvable crime. So that's the premise. And I'm sure you've seen like the epic promotional materials with like the encryptions on them, everything like that. All of those encryptions that are like not really in English are actually Longlegs writing stuff to the FBI, basically taunting the FBI agent, taunting the bureau, and no one can figure out what the encryptions mean except for our main character because she has like a sixth sense with it, because she was actually given a doll, but she doesn't know that. There's a doll in her house. My thoughts of this movie were, when I was watching it, 3/4 of the movie was some of the strongest horror I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm a sucker for like 90s or 70s style FBI agents trying to solve crimes. I just love it. I love old school police technology when it comes to solving murders. I love that. And I love the color palette of it all. And even our main character's house was just like gorgeous, and it was like the most fantastic color palette ever. I just really, really like an FBI agent kind of going insane trying to solve a murder. Sorry, I really love it. And I think a lot of us love it. And the beginning of this movie was such a masterclass in scaring people. Like, there were so many unexpected things that were happening. Like, there's a point where Nick Cage as Longlegs is in the FBI agent's house, and she's outside looking for whoever was staring in her windows, and he's inside of her house, and she doesn't see that, but the audience does. For example, that's one of the things that kind of chills me to the bone, and I'm like, okay, that's like fantastic. The whole theater was silent when that happened. The FBI of it all really intrigued me, and I was loving it. And all like the unconventional scares, I was loving the atmosphere. It's like a masterclass. And also the build-up, like before I even saw the movie, like the graphic design and like the vibe of it and the art direction, it was solid. But I kind of found that it was like edging me a little bit. And that's not to say it's not a 5-star fantastic movie. This is a fucking scary movie. But it was almost too smart, its marketing, and its marketing almost existed in a universe that I'm in with horror, and I think a lot of horror fans are in as well, where we are expecting so much more from horror movies because we're desensitized, for lack of a better word, and we want more like uncanny creatures. We want something beyond like the devil Satan panic thing that was in the 90s and the 2000s. We want analog, uncanny horror that we can't even look at because we're too scared of it. That's just my experience, and it feels like the more of a veteran in horror you are, the more you gravitate towards that, like, indie vibe of it, because you're desensitized and you want to be scared by something that understands you as a horror viewer, so it knows how to scare you. So the marketing of it made it seem to me like Longlegs was going to be some kind of uncanny, beyond the earth creature that Nicolas Cage was going to play. And I was pumped for that. And unfortunately, when I saw Nicolas Cage just as like a regular serial unaliver, I was a little bit disappointed, and I was in the theater thinking, I really hope I get to see Mr. Downstairs. I really hope Mr. Downstairs is kind of what the marketing implied, which would be a little bit more uncanny, a little bit more fucking scary. I was thinking something along the lines of what I'm gonna put up here by a TikTok horror creator, because when I think of Mr. Longlegs, I think that is the perfect name for something really fucking scary. And I was just pumped to see that. And not to say Longlegs was a bad movie or it wasn't living up to expectations, it just, I think I was interpreting it wrong, or I'm just too much in the horror community where I was expecting way too much of it. So that's one thing that I didn't love. I felt like 3/4 of it were amazing. 3/4 of it had me on the edge of my seat. I was locked and gripped in. And then the last part of it, the ending part of it, I felt a little bit like I was cheated, and like I wanted to see Mr. Downstairs. I didn't want it to just be the devil, and I didn't want it to just be a doll situation. I wanted a little bit more originality, I guess. But I'm saying this all while saying again and again, this is a fantastic horror movie and it's really good. I just wish that I didn't see any of the promos, and I wish I didn't go in with any thoughts, because that is going to happen when you have too much promo for a horror movie that's really, really good. It's like you get these ideas in your head, and I've watched so many horror movies that I'm really good at coming up with ideas for them. So it ends up just kind of being like, oh no, please give me more. Like at the end of it, I was like, please, I need more than that, please. It was very, very dark though. Like the entire movie was like, the topics were very, very dark, and I wanted a little bit more gore from it because it said it was like Silence of the Lambs. I was expecting it to be amped up a little bit that way. I think Silence of the Lambs is scarier than this movie, but I think this movie has better stylization, and the art direction of it is like never been done before, ever. My favorite part of the movie was near the end, or like at the very end, the FBI agents like lead, I don't know if it's a lieutenant, like what the fuck, her like boss that you kind of gain closeness with because he's one of the main characters as well, and he's really cool and he's really funny. He's like the comedic relief, and he has this really sweet family, and he gets a doll gifted to him, and she shows up to the house and there's a doll there, and she knows what's going to happen. And you see this family slowly start their descent towards madness, and you can see like the satanic thing getting in their heads. And the way that this scene plays out is like horrifying, just because of its realism, but also because like it's so fucking scary the way that he's rationalizing, unaliving his whole family in his head. He's like, I should get the cake. No, I should go cut up the cake. And then he looks at his wife, he's like, no, you said I should go do that. And he's like fighting it off in his head, but he's not winning, and it's really scary. I really, really, really loved that. I just wish that the person who made him act like that was a little bit more scary, because there was these like shots of Mr. Downstairs, which is the devil, and there was like these glowing eyes, like yellow eyes, and it was pretty creepy. But I wanted a little bit more. I wanted a little bit like, oh, I can't even look at that, I hate it so much, you know? And I think Skinamarink kind of did the analog horror thing, and it didn't go super well with audiences. Like, it was a super successful movie, but I don't think big studios like Neon want to do that because they think that that's all analog horror is, where analog horror to me is way more visceral and gory. Like, there are analog horror series with creatures that are so scary, and I really enjoy watching it because it actually makes me scared. I wish that they went in more of that direction. But that's my opinion, and that's so subjective, and it doesn't make it any less of a good movie. Like, it's definitely a great movie. There's also this really kind of scary thing that when the FBI agent who's thinking back to her first time meeting Longlegs, like, she sees these memories of him that they shoot on like film, and she's at kid height, so you can only see like the bottom half of his face. And that was really creepy to me, and it was really, really well done. Little details like that just make you know how much detail was put into this movie. Like, it's just full of detail. But I think it's my problem, because when I watched The Blackcoat's Daughter, which is the same director as this one, I had the exact same feeling. Like, there was awesome, really scary scenes, but I wanted a bit more from the creature. Like, I wanted the creature to be a bit different, or like the villain or whatever. I'm having a hard time fully remembering that movie, but I do remember feeling like that. And I think it's just maybe this director's style is not my total favorite. But that's on me for getting all these expectations up. Like, I don't think the movie like bit off more than it can chew per se. I just think the marketing should have been a bit different, because it seemed so otherworldly, you know, and it seems like the picture of the girl with the really long, she had like long legs, and she was like under a blanket and it was just her legs. And I thought that this creature would turn people kind of into like uncanny kind of situations. I thought that maybe like the evil force or the Mr. Downstairs would turn people into something really scary, or the creature itself was really scary. And like the picture of the legs promo just really cemented that idea for me. I'm like, I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited to see that. But it ended up being just like a crime horror movie, which I love. I love crime horror movies. That's one of my favorite subgenres of horror, actually. I love old police cars, and I love shit like that. Like, I think it's the most chic and masculine thing ever. Like, not modern day ones, those are really ugly, but like old police cars and like the vibe of an old FBI thing, love it. The flashlights, it's ripe for like great artistic direction, and also just really scary shit. My complaints are that I didn't love the plot. I have no complaints on the visual style and like the actual movie look itself. And also, I love Nicolas Cage as an actor, and I do think that he's one of the best actors like ever. But the thing is with Longlegs, they put him under this extreme SFX makeup, and it's like, I know that that was on purpose to make him look uncanny, but I think Nicolas Cage's acting comes so through in his facial features, and he was so scary at the end of Mandy, and also weirdly in Face Off. I thought his intensity was really unsettling and really kind of scary, and I think I wanted that in Longlegs. I was excited to see Nicolas Cage in his features accentuated with something, because he's such an incredible actor. And I think the SFX kind of maybe hid his identity a little bit too much, where I didn't get the full force of his acting. And you kind of see this because the most powerful scenes with him are when he's looking at the camera with his eyes, because his eyes are so full of emotion. And like, I just wanted to see him kind of more looking like Nicolas Cage and not hiding it so much. And that's my problem, you know, like, not, the SFX was incredible. I'm not to say it was bad. I just didn't really, I wanted to see Nick Cage a little bit more, you know what I mean? But his performance in this is unreal amazing. And I just don't want to be the one to shit on this movie, because I want more movies exactly like this. I just wanted something a little bit different, I guess. But I will watch this again and again and again. Like, this is going to be on my roster for quite a bit. With the Longlegs character design too, I know that they were going for like a Silence of the Lambs vibe, and they really did that. But I think that's why maybe it didn't scare me as much, because I've seen it so many times before. The movie is incredible, but I think that maybe it was just a little bit too smart in the marketing, and it set up a bar that was just a little bit impossibly high, you know, just totally impossibly high. I think horror movies invoke a certain emotion of like being scared, and I think Longlegs and Immaculate are the two scariest of the year for me so far. And I'm just so excited for the rest of the year. Like, we've been on this incredible track. Like, I loved Kinds of Kindness, and we're getting fed so good lately with horror movies and like with unsettling movies. And I think a lot of studios are realizing that horror fans will show up always. And Neon is like continually impressing me with the scares and with the originality. And I cannot shit on an original story because there is such a lack of original stories. Like, actually, it's crazy. So, final thoughts, you should go watch it. Nicolas Cage is the king of acting. But if you're looking for like a more of like an analog vibe, like a kind of the name Longlegs invokes a certain vibe for me, and if you're looking for that kind of vibe, this is not going to do it. But it is still 5 stars, and I really cannot complain about anything else. I'm going to be looking out for a Neon movie every chance I get. Like, I'm continually just so impressed by it. It's like, I feel so lucky to be growing up in a time that I'm going to tell people, I saw that in the theater, because there's going to be some cult classics coming out. I feel it in my bones. Okay, if you watched my review, thank you so much for clicking my video, and thank you so also for being so nice to me. So,